So I did, and this doctor sends the lab work to what he claimed are the only two labs in the country that test for subsets of Lyme's. And the only thing my test came back with was that at some time I had been exposed to cat scratch fever. And I can't remember what the medical term is, if it's Bordetella or Bordetella, but it wasn't a significant thing. All it said was that at some time in my life I had been exposed, but I never had it. My daughter, my youngest daughter, did have cat scratch fever when she was 8 and was in the hospital a week with it on IV antibiotics. So I got my prescription lenses that the second eye doctor at Moses gave me the prescription for, and they contained prisms and a 15% blue tint. And then I went back to the other doctor, the stroke and heart doctor, and he had also sent me to a balance specialist. And he wanted me to get a second opinion on any other infections that I might have or had been exposed to. So he referred me to another infectious disease doctor. And this doctor was both these doctors were really unique individuals and very open-minded. And I know the first one I went to, I believe, is a fundamental, new, more natural approach, and using alternative therapies. And the second doctor, he's also infectious disease, and I have a medical assistant from my doctor that checks up on me weekly. And when she saw that I had been referred to this other doctor and he was running a number of tests, they took maybe 15 vials of blood. She said, you know, he is an extremely intelligent man, and if anybody can get to the bottom of everything, he will probably be the one that has an answer. So now there I am going about my business. I'm still DNR, but now I've got a pacemaker and a defibrillator. And I don't know if you remember, but way back when, toward the beginning of my vlogging, I mentioned that I was adopted, and my biological mother had passed in her sleep of either a stroke or a heart attack. There wasn't an autopsy, but apparently there's a blood test that when a coroner comes to the house, and this is what I was told. So ever since I was 64, and I've been getting just progressively worse year by year by year, I have always felt that I was on borrowed time. However, after the second infectious disease doctor that the doctor from the neurologist sent me to, he calls up and we go over my blood work. And one of the things he ran was a homocysteine level. Homocysteine is something that is in your bloodstream, and your B vitamins break it down into amino acids that they need. And then ultimately your body, once the B's do this, can produce folate. I had very high homocysteine levels. So he had already put me on a vitamin B12 that you can now get over the counter that's methylated, not menthol, like methylated. And he put me on a prescription called Folbic, F-O-L-B-I-C. And as I'm reading and listening to him, we're going over these homocysteine levels and everything else. And he said to me, now your strokes will stop. And I said, what? And apparently, when your bloodstream cannot get rid of the homocysteine, it causes blood clots, heart disease, and stroke. Now, all the things that I was worried about, dying of a heart attack or dying of a stroke, now they've been addressed, and I'm ready to take my DNR off. Going back to the eye doctor for my second visit, my brain is retraining itself. I have not fallen once since getting the glasses with the prisms and the blue tint. And at the time, the best vision I could manage with glasses was 20/80. And within months, my vision is now 20/50, and she cut the prism in half. And she expects my brain to fully retrain itself, and I won't have falls anymore. So I just want to say that I am so glad for this past year, in spite of everything everybody in the world is going through, because it may have taken 50 years and I had given up a lot of times, but to finally have somebody listen, when dozens of doctors I took the information about MTHFR to and begged them to read it, and I would say, what if everything that's wrong with me could have been prevented by just taking a couple vitamins in a form my body could absorb? Not one of them had the slightest interest, not in reading the information, talking to anybody. All that happened was another referral. And this went on basically my entire life. But as you get older, it's even harder for your body to do what it's supposed to do. And now I'm at a point where almost every little thing that happens, I wind up in the hospital. A week ago, on Thursday, I was out in my little garden and I got stung on the arm, and I didn't think anything of it. I've been stung a few times, and earlier this summer I had gotten a sting almost identical in my back, but I couldn't see it. So I just kept asking my husband, does it look okay? Is it swelling? Is it whatever? And he just kept telling me it looks fine. Well, this happened on Thursday. Friday morning I woke up and my arm was starting to swell. By 4 in the afternoon, I took myself to urgent care where they drew a line around it, started me on a loading dose of Keflex, and then they gave me a prescription for 500 milligrams 3 times a day till finished, and sent me home with instructions: if the infection spreads outside the line they drew in marker, come back immediately. When they drew the line, it was like maybe right here. In a couple hours, it had spread to here, to my knuckles. I went back to the ER and they started me on high doses of antibiotics IV. When I went back, it was possibly 11, because I left there maybe between 6 and 7. And when I went back, it was around 11 o'clock. Then I was taken by ambulance to the hospital and admitted under observation, where they continued the high-dose IV antibiotics until Sunday morning, when the infection started clearing. And I'm currently, one of the things about the pandemic, if you could say there's anything good, is there are a lot of summits going on right now. Things to do with wellness, alternative medicines, things that might normally cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And they're allowing these to be viewed right now for free, $0. And I started another one today. I believe it's going to go for 7 days. And when that one stops, I have another one already lined up. And every single one is so informative. So although I won't be doing a YouTube about these, I will be posting them on my various web pages to still help everybody out there who's looking for answers. There is so much information. But to end, I want to say thank you to the Smart Patient, and a very, very special thank you to Moses Eye Care Clinic and my doctors there, Dr. Albright, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Rob Moses. I don't think I'd be sitting here today if it weren't for you, because you were the first ones to diagnose me with Sjogren's. You were the people that sent me to the neurologists, the second opinion, then back to Moses, and then sent on to these infectious disease doctors. And yes, it was a very, very, very long road with a lot of twists and turns that were unnecessary. because the doctors wouldn't listen or read the information that I was trying to give them. But eventually there was somebody that did. And I'm looking forward to the next year and everything I hope it brings for everybody. Health, happiness, and well-being. Thank you to everyone that followed me, and although I won't be doing autoimmune issue YouTubes, I will be starting some other form of YouTube to help handicapped people. Thanks again. Good night.